Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. So, I gotta be honest, I haven't been here in like a month. And it's been hectic. We went on a week and a half long vacation to Disney World, Florida, and I got a whole bunch of videos from that. You can check that out on my other channel, Adventure Erik. But now we're back, and I'm just coming down here and seeing. I don't remember where I was or what I was doing or anything. So I'm kind of taking inventory of what projects I had going on at the time that I left the last video. I can see now that I'm down here. I can see that we were working on some marking knives and a scratch awl and a burnisher, and I got some blocks here that need to get turned up and do all of that. I also have all this lumber that we milled up a long time ago. It's probably been sitting down here for almost 2 months, drying out and acclimating. So I'm going to give this an inspection, see where it is, and find out if we need to do another milling on it to true it up. I went and I inspected all of these boards that we milled up, and I'm actually pretty pleased. They haven't developed any crazy cupping or twisting or any of the other issues that we might have seen. However, the one thing that we do have that we can't, we have to fix is when you try to butt the boards up, you can see there's a huge gap that's developed there, and we're going to have to joint the boards again in order to take that out. However, I think first what we're going to do, these boards were all planned out for the plane till saw till combo at the other shop, and I think we're going to cut these up into rough dimension for that project, and then we'll go along and joint them so that we minimize the amount of board loss. So I just realized that I think I am working off of outdated plans here. I believe that I actually drew up a new design, and I think I left it back at the house. So before I go and start cutting up boards that could end up being the wrong size, I gotta go back and get those plans. Unfortunately, it's too late. And if I ran back to the house to get the plans and come back, I think it's clear that I'm just not going to get anything productive done today. However, what I will do is we're going to do a shop tour, because people seem to like that. Yeah? Take you around, show you what I got going on, at least here. This is my power tool workshop, and it's not where I am most of the time, so you'll have to excuse the fact that the cleaning gets kind of overlooked a lot. Alright, so we'll just start over here at the beginning of the shop. I'm sure you noticed there are spider webs everywhere. The house that I have my shop in is like over 1,000 years old, and it's a rock basement. There's really no way to keep them out, so unfortunately that's always going to be a source of, it's always going to be a nuisance there. I try to clean them off as much as I can, but they definitely collect a lot of sawdust, so they become really noticeable down here. Alright, so moving on into the main shop area. Now, this used to be all dirt floor. I actually had to build this subfloor because the whole floor slopes downward. I don't know if that was a thing back then with dirt floors when they built the house, but yeah, this whole thing was not level at all. There's actually probably about a foot difference between the front of my floor and the back end, which is up on cinder blocks. But yeah, I had to build this whole subfloor. Me and a buddy came down here, and I had all the lumber ready, and we cut it and knocked it, nailed it and put it all down, and it's worked out pretty good for me. Eventually I'd like to continue the floor on, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So over here is my table saw. This is just a very cheap craftsman contractor saw. Eventually I'd like to build a more solid base for it rather than this cheap sheet metal thing that they sent with it. I'd like to build a regular saw table saw bench, maybe extend some wings out on it. But it took a little bit of effort to get it tuned just right, and eventually I'd like to do something about the fence system here, because I really don't like the way this is set up. But it works okay for what I need. I replaced the stock blade. This is a Freud, I believe, and it makes a world of difference in terms of vibration and noise from the saw. Alright, so next we have our jointer planer combo. This is a Jet. This was an older one. I've had this for several years now. I want to say when I bought it, it was maybe $700, and it's, you know, it works okay. Honestly, I think I'd rather have like a dedicated jointer and a dedicated planer, but for the compact shop on a budget, it's not a bad tool. And you know, I simply built a small table to set it on so that I didn't have to pick it up, because it is a heavy machine. This is my workbench, and this is actually the first workbench that I ever built. It was a design that I took from, I believe it was Popular Woodworking, or maybe the editors of Fine Woodworking gave me this idea. But it's basically, there's threaded rods all the way through holding it together, and nuts, and there's no real joinery in it at all. And now that I've used it and I know more about woodworking, there are definitely things that I would improve and change on it if I were to ever do a design like this again. Honestly, I don't think I ever would, because I've moved on to the point where I'm almost ready to just junk this thing and build my own workbench like I have back at my house, where I have my hand tool workshop. But for real woodworking, it's completely inadequate, and I'm definitely my plans are to replace it at some point. Then we have a small bandsaw here. This was a bandsaw that I got from a friend of mine for very cheap. Right now I have a blade in there that's way too big for this little tiny machine, because I was trying to do some resawing with it, but it just doesn't, the motor doesn't have the horsepower. Eventually I'd like to get a nicer one, something, you know, maybe a 14-inch bandsaw that I can do ripping on, but if I were to change this blade out to a much thinner, like maybe a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch blade, it would work perfectly fine for like cutting curves and rough work. Yeah, it was a yard sale deal kind of thing. And this is where I have my wood turning tools, because I did that for a long time. I was doing a lot of wood turning and pens, and turn some light on here. But this is another thing that my buddy had kicking around his garage. This is an old Franklin Foundry lathe, which, again, it's okay. It doesn't work the greatest. I would definitely like to get something to replace it with. Maybe something smaller. I don't really do a whole lot of like large wood turnings, but something capable of, you know, with smaller dimensions, runs smoother, maybe a DR, one of those electric motor type things down the road. For now, it's okay. It gets done what I need it to, which is mostly just like handles, and I tried to do bowls on it, and it doesn't really work out for me that well, but something to work on. And then over here, of course, we got our grinder for sharpening our lathe tools. I got a small belt sander, which is, you know, it's pretty much garbage, but the price was right. Harbor Freight deal. Now over here is where we got the real mess. This was some throw together sawhorses that I did a long time ago, and I basically have just been piling junk wood on it ever since. Cut-offs, and I don't even know what I'm saving all this stuff for. I'm kind of a pack rat that way. Eventually I'd like to build a scrap wood box, something more convenient to store, and maybe organize it a bit more. And then we're going to move down. I'm going to show you, this is the unfinished area. Let me turn a light on for us. This is the unfinished area of the basement. You can see what I was talking about here, where the floor is There's quite a bit of space here between the ground and the top of the floor. What I'd like to do eventually is do another subfloor down here on the dirt that will be... It'll still be lower. There'll be like a step down, but it'll be a wood floor eventually. And, you know, we got a lot of junk here that needs to get cleared out. We got some ceramic molds and just some old decrepit furniture that the termites have been eating away at, it looks like. So the plan down here is, you know, of course, someday, if it ever happens, to make this into my wood storage and milling area. We'll take and put like a miter saw table over here, maybe some lumber storage. We'll move the jointer planer over here with some, you know, tables and racks to put stuff onto, and then we'll be able to mill all our lumber here and clear out a little bit of the main shop area where I want to do most of the work. But, you know, it's all a project. We also need some more lighting. It's kind of poor lighting. I had to wire up a lot of the stuff that you see here because it was just dark. So unless we want to work by candlelight, you know, we'll have to do a little electric work around here as well. And hopefully we'll get this all cleared out down the road. You know, money and time is always an issue in the home shop, but you know, we can make it work. It's not impossible. It just takes a little effort, a little dedication, and you know, whenever we get the time. All right, so that is it. That was the tour of one of my shops, the Power Tool Wood Shop. Anyway, down the road we'll do other shop tours of the blacksmith shop and my hand tool shop back at the house, and you know, we'll see how it progresses. I'll make sure I do, you know, update videos at least once a year, you know, depending on how fast we move forward. But, you know, we'd like to get some dust collection down here because dust is always an issue, especially in power tool shops, and, you know, maybe some air filtration type stuff to, you know, cut down on some of the dust that collects onto the cobwebs. But, yeah. For now, that's all I have to show you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give me thumbs up. Comments, I'd love to hear from all of you. So until next time, go make something, go build something, get your hands a little dirty, and I'll see you in the shop.